Have you ever walked past a stunning rose bush and wished you could have that exact same one in your own garden for free? What if I told you that you can clone almost any rose you see, and it's not only possible, but incredibly simple? Welcome to your new favorite gardening superpower. Today, I'm going to show you a foolproof method to propagate any rose from a simple cutting. Forget everything you've heard that makes it sound complicated. We are breaking it down step by step. By the end of this video, you'll hold the secret to creating an endless supply of beautiful roses, turning one precious plant into an entire garden without spending a single dime. And trust me, you'll be shocked by the common mistakes most people make that lead to failure. Let's get started. Before we grab our pruning shears, let's quickly talk about why this is such a fantastic skill to have. What we're doing is called propagation from cuttings, which is basically a fancy way of saying we're creating a genetically identical clone of the parent plant. The biggest benefit is obvious. It's completely free. You can multiply your favorite rose or take a cutting from a friend's garden, with their permission, of course, and grow the exact same plant. This means the same beautiful color, the same intoxicating fragrance, and the same growth habits. It's a way to preserve a specific, cherished plant. This isn't some new complex science. Gardeners have been sharing plants this way for centuries. We've just refined the process to make it almost guaranteed. So think of this not just as a way to get free plants, but as a timeless gardening tradition that connects you to your plants in a whole new way. Our journey begins with selecting the perfect cutting. This is the single most important step, and getting it right sets you up for success. The ideal time to do this is in late spring or early summer, right after the first big wave of flowers has faded. You're looking for what gardeners call a semi-hardwood stem. This is a stem from the current season's growth. It should feel firm, but still flexible, and not old, dark, and woody. A great rule of thumb is to find a stem that's about the thickness of a pencil. You want to choose a healthy, vigorous, and straight stem. Avoid anything that looks weak, has discolored leaves, or shows any signs of pests or disease. Ideally, the section you choose will have at least 4 or 5 leaf nodes. These are the small bumps along the stem where leaves grow from, as this is where the new roots will magically emerge. A stem that has recently held a flower is often a perfect candidate because it's at the right stage of maturity. So be picky. Don't just snip the first thing you see. Take a moment to find that perfect, healthy, pencil-thick stem. Your future rose bush will thank you for it. Now that you have your perfect stem, let's talk about the art of the cut. How you cut the stem is more important than you might think. You will need a pair of clean and very sharp pruning shears or a sharp knife. Cleanliness is crucial here. Wipe your blades with rubbing alcohol before you start to prevent introducing any nasty bacteria or fungus to your cutting's open wound. You're going to prepare a cutting that's about 6 to 8 inches long. At the bottom of your cutting, you'll make a 45-degree angled cut. Make this cut just below a leaf node, about 1/4 of an inch below it. This angled cut is a pro tip as it exposes a larger surface area of the cambium layer, which is where the roots will form. More surface area means more potential for roots. At the top of the cutting, make a simple, straight cut across well above the top leaf node. This helps you remember which end is up and which end goes into the soil. It sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to plant a cutting upside down. So, remember, angled cut at the bottom, straight cut at the top. This precision is what separates a successful propagation from a failed attempt. Next up is prepping your cutting for its new life. Right now, your little stem's only job is to focus all of its energy on one thing: growing roots. It can't afford to waste energy on supporting a bunch of leaves or trying to produce flowers. So, we need to help it out by doing some strategic trimming. You're going to gently remove all of the leaves from the bottom half of the cutting, the part that will be planted underground. You can just pluck them off with your fingers or snip them off carefully. Any leaves left buried under the soil will just rot and could cause disease, so make sure that part is completely bare. For the top half of the cutting, you should leave just 2 or 3 sets of leaves. These remaining leaves are important because they will continue to perform photosynthesis, creating energy for the plant. However, we can even give these top leaves a little help. To reduce water loss through transpiration, you can take your shears and snip the remaining leaves in half horizontally. It might feel cruel, but you're actually reducing the stress on the cutting, allowing it to conserve precious moisture while it works on developing its new root system. Also, be sure to snip off any flower buds or hips. We want all that energy directed downwards. Let's enter the great rooting hormone debate. Do you actually need it? Rooting hormone is a product, usually a powder or a gel, that contains plant hormones called auxins, which stimulate root growth. It also often contains a fungicide to help prevent the cut end from rotting. Using a commercial rooting hormone can definitely speed up the process and increase your success rate, especially with trickier rose varieties. It's not very expensive, and a small container will last you a very long time. You simply dip the bottom inch of your prepared cutting into the powder or gel before planting. However, here's a little secret. It's not always 100% necessary. Many common, vigorous roses will root just fine without it. If you want to go the natural route, there are some great home remedies. A popular one is honey, which has natural antifungal and antibacterial properties. Another is fresh aloe vera gel, which also contains rooting compounds. While maybe not as potent as the commercial stuff, they are fun, organic alternatives to try. So, the choice is yours. For the best possible odds, I recommend using a rooting hormone, but don't let a lack of it stop you from trying. Now, we need to address the elephant in the garden, the potato hack. You have definitely seen videos online of people sticking a rose cutting into a potato and planting the whole thing. The claim is that the potato provides constant moisture and nutrients, acting as a perfect little life support system for the cutting. It looks so simple and so clever, but does it actually work? I am here to tell you that this is one of the biggest gardening myths out there. While the potato does contain moisture, it's far more likely to rot in the soil before your rose cutting has a chance to root. This rotting process introduces a whole host of bacteria and fungi, right where you don't want them, at the base of your vulnerable cutting. This often leads to the cutting itself rotting from the bottom up. The truth is, a proper rooting medium and consistent moisture from you is far more reliable and much safer for the cutting. So, while it makes for a clickable video, please save your potatoes for dinner. we are going to use a method that is proven by gardeners and professionals to actually work, ensuring your beautiful cutting becomes a thriving plant, not a science experiment gone wrong. So, if not a potato, what is the perfect home for your new cutting? You have two primary choices for your rooting medium, soil or water. Let's break them down. The soil method is generally considered the most reliable for a strong transition into the garden later. The ideal mix isn't just regular garden soil, which can be too heavy and wet. You want something light and airy that provides moisture, but also drains well to prevent rot. A fantastic and easy DIY mix is 50% perlite and 50% peat moss or cocoa coir. A high-quality seed starting mix also works great. This combination holds just enough water while allowing plenty of oxygen to get to the developing roots. The other option is the water method. This is very popular because it's so simple and you get the satisfaction of physically seeing the roots as they start to grow. You just place the cutting in a jar of water and wait. However, there is a downside. Roots that develop in water, called water roots, are more fragile and less adapted to soil. This can make transplanting them into a pot a bit of a shock to their system. For the highest rate of success, I always recommend starting in a good quality, well-draining soil mix. All right, let's get our hands dirty and plant this cutting using the soil method. You'll need a small pot, about 4 to 6 inches in diameter, with good drainage holes at the bottom. Fill your pot with your pre-moistened rooting medium, like the perlite and peat moss mix we just discussed. Don't pack it down too tightly. Now, here's a crucial little trick. Do not just shove the cutting into the soil. If you do, you'll scrape all of that carefully applied rooting hormone right off. Instead, take a pencil, a chopstick, or even just your finger and make a hole in the center of the soil. This hole should be deep enough to accommodate about half the length of your cutting. If you're using rooting hormone, gently dip the bottom inch or two of your cutting into it, tapping off any excess. Now, carefully place the cutting into the pre-made hole. You want to make sure that at least 2, preferably 3, of those leaf nodes are buried beneath the soil surface. This is where the majority of your roots will sprout from. Finally, gently firm the soil around the base of the cutting to ensure good contact and to hold it securely in place. Give it a gentle watering to settle everything in. This next step is the secret ingredient that many beginners miss, and it is absolutely vital for success. We need to create a mini greenhouse for our cutting. Think about it. Your cutting has no roots yet, which means it has no way to absorb water from the soil to replace the moisture it loses through its leaves. This is why they can dry out and fail so quickly. To solve this, we need to create a high humidity environment around the cutting. This reduces water loss and keeps the stem hydrated while it works on growing roots. And it's incredibly easy to do. The simplest way is to take a clear plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, and place it over the top of the pot, creating a dome. You can use a few sticks or bamboo skewers to keep the plastic from touching the leaves. Another great method is to use a clear plastic soda bottle. Just cut the bottom off and place the top portion over your cutting like a cloche. This little humidity dome traps moisture, creating the perfect steamy environment your cutting needs to thrive. Just make sure to remove it for a few minutes every couple of days to allow for some fresh air circulation. And now, we enter the hardest part of the entire process, the waiting game. Patience is a gardener's best friend. You need to place your potted cutting in a location that receives bright but indirect light, a spot near a window. But out of the direct, scorching sun is perfect. Direct sunlight will be too intense and can cook your little cutting inside its greenhouse. Your job over the next few weeks is to keep the soil consistently moist, but not waterlogged. Think of a damp sponge, not a muddy puddle. The humidity dome will do most of the work, but you should check the soil every few days. How long will it take? Well, it can vary, but you should expect to wait anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. During this time, you might not see much happening on top, but hopefully there's a lot of activity happening below the surface. After about 4 weeks, you can perform the gentle tug test. Give the base of the cutting a very, very light pull. If you feel resistance, that's a fantastic sign. It means roots have formed and are holding on to the soil. If it pulls out easily, don't worry. Just put it back in and give it more time. After several weeks of patient waiting, how do you know for sure that you've been successful? The first positive sign is that the cutting is still green and looks healthy. A dead cutting will turn brown or black and shrivel up. The most exciting sign, of course, is new growth. When you see tiny new leaves beginning to sprout from the top leaf nodes, you can do a little happy dance, because that means your cutting has successfully grown roots and is now a self-sustaining plant. Once you've confirmed success, either through new growth or the tug test, it's time to acclimate your new baby plant to the real world. This process is called hardening off. Don't just remove the plastic greenhouse and throw it outside. That shock would be too much. Instead, start by removing the plastic dome for an hour on the first day. Then 2 hours on the second day, and so on, gradually increasing its exposure to normal air humidity over the course of about a week. After it's fully acclimated, you can transplant your new rose bush into a slightly larger pot, or, if the weather is right, into its new permanent home in your garden. Congratulations! You are officially a rose cloner. So there you have it. From choosing the perfect stem and making that precise cut, to creating a mini greenhouse and having the patience to wait, you now have the complete roadmap to unlimited roses. The most amazing part of this whole process is realizing that the power to create so much beauty is right in your hands. That one spectacular rose you admired in a park or a friend's yard can become 10, 20, or even 100 new plants, filling your garden with life and fragrance, all for the price of a little time and effort. You literally have a rose factory at your fingertips, and you'll never have to pay for a rose bush again. Thank you so much for joining me in the garden today. If you found this masterclass helpful and you're ready to start propagating, please give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next gardening adventure. We have so much more to share with you. Now, I have a question for you. What is the one rose you would love to clone for your own garden? Let me know the color and the type in the comments below. I can't wait to read all about them. Happy gardening!